What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to JJD TV. I'm your host, Josh, and we are coming at you for the very last time in 2020. And one of our first segments here on the channel, as a lot of you guys who were with us from the beginning would know, was our 5 takeaways, where we took 5 takeaways that we liked or that came to us after the game. We discussed them with you guys, and we thought it would make sense to go through and do a 5 takeaways for Borussia Dortmund of 2020. And we're live here today because we want to do the takeaways with you as well, which is why you see I pinned a comment already that said, what is your best takeaway? Because the channel is only where it is because you guys obviously give us so much support, and I want to see what your guys' big takeaway was. And I have my 5 up already that I'm going to talk about. See what you guys have to think on some of them. You can talk about them. Then I'm going to read all of yours, and we'll have a nice little visit here for the remainder of 2020. Well, at least for seeing my face before we see me again in 2021 for our Wolfsburg watch along. So I guess we'll just dive right into it. And 2020 was an interesting year, to say the least. I'm going to focus mostly on this season's part of 2020 rather than the last season, but there will be some correlation between the two. So for me, my first takeaway from 2020 is Erling Håland. And it seems like a cliche, of course it does, because it's Erling Håland, but when you have a striker that is just as complete as Håland is, you have to talk about him. And for picking him up in January, him completely changing the team, that Augsburg game, constant games where he was finishing in the 90th minute, getting those kind of goals, he is the complete package. He's fast, he's big, he's strong, his finishing is out of this world. He's a driving force for our club, and you see what kind of happens when he's not in the starting 11. We can't cope without him. We built our play style around him, and he's just honestly a fantastic player, and he was just impressed me so much. I know he's impressed you guys so much throughout the course of 2020, and I'm desperately hoping he can make that Wolfsburg game. It's looking like he will, and he can kick on in 2021 because the kid is so good at being the 10-year age of 20 years old. So for me, he's the biggest takeaway. I'm proud to have him obviously being a part of our club. I know that all of you guys are as well, and let's see if we can hold on to him for as long as we possibly can, and even maybe get him to sign a new deal and get rid of that release clause. Going on to my second takeaway, and it's kind of a mixed takeaway, and that is competing with Bayern Munich. And I say competing because I've been impressed with the last few times that we've played them. I believe the last 3 times we played them have all been 3-2 score. No, it wasn't. It was a 1-0 scoreline, which was the tail end of last season, and then back-to-back 3-2 scorelines, which means we're competing with the best club in the world right now. They're the Champions League winners, so, I mean, they get that title. But in those games, and I think I saw someone already comment on it, and I will address it as soon as I start going through the comments, that we outchanced them and we honestly outplayed a lot of them, which was absolutely true in my opinion, and it just shows that we can compete with them. But then there's the negative effects with that, and that just shows the other games around Bayern, where Bayern can overthrow teams, take them down, get those points that they need, and honestly run away from the title. And yes, we're competing with Bayern right now, but at some point, if we're going to want to go for silverware, we're going to actually have to beat Bayern. And yes, it's a cliche, I know, but it's true. Last season, when we were still somewhat in the title race and we lost to them 1-0, the title was over. It was over at that point, and it's just those kind of games that can define a season, and we just have to hopefully kick on, whether it's the rest of this season or for the following season, and just be able to take these games on and bring back those kind of games like when we won at home 3-2 against them and have a real title push. So for me, competing with Bayern was definitely a big takeaway for me because I like what I see. I think it's getting better, but we just need to take it over the edge. My third takeaway is Sancho, and that will obviously be a nice talking point because the 2019-2020 Sancho was, in my opinion, unplayable, and the 2020-2021 Sancho for the first half of this season has been honestly very poor-ish. I mean, he's not near the kind of player that he was when he put up those kind of minutes and those kind of numbers with 17 goals, 16 assists. He hasn't been able to catch fire. He hasn't been able to find his form. And I don't know what kind of Sancho we're going to have in 2021, but depending on what he does in the next 6 months or so is going to, I think, determine his future here with Borussia Dortmund. And helping us get into a Champions League spot, we're going to need him to obviously kick on and have obviously a Champions League push. And it's hard to see a player who just was so exciting that we held on to him and then not deliver. But I mean, it's not over. The season's definitely not over. And I do have faith that Sancho is going to turn around. He's too good of a baller not to. Which then goes into my play style, which is the fourth takeaway, and that is the fact that we were a 3-4-3 team last year. I wasn't in favor of that formation, but watching the counter-attacking football that we played, led by Hakimi, led by Guerrero, led by Sancho and Royce, it was fantastic to watch. It was pleasing on the eyes, and then switching formation, we just came a very dull possession team where we weren't able to really hit on the break. We didn't have that speed anymore. We didn't have that creativity. Nothing was clicking. So the style of play for me in 2020 has kind of been all over the place, just with the drastic change in formations, as well as the fact that missing a key player like Hakimi led to that 3-4-3 turning into a 4-2-3-1 and just not being able to adapt. And finally, the transfers is my fifth takeaway, and it is kind of a negative effect for me. I mean, when I was looking at the transfers of what we needed going into the season, I said a center back, I said a striker. 100%, I was just baffled when we signed. And no offense to Jude, because I love Jude, and I think that no matter what, that's a great piece of business, and he's going to grow as a player here. But in my opinion, was not what we needed at all at the time. But that's what Dortmund likes to do, likes to go for the young potential players and turn them into something fantastic. So I did not rate our transfers. I really didn't. I don't think we grabbed the pieces that we desperately needed, and it showed, especially Håland. We put faith once again in the youth of a 16-year-old coming in November. So that was just, for me, there's huge question marks, and some of the transfers I think might need to be renegotiated and looked at by the board to see if we're going to be able to kick on. But those are my 5 takeaways from 2020. I'm going to dive into the comments now to see what you guys have to say about those takeaways, and then to obviously go on to your takeaways. But we have people already saying that they're hyped, and by the way, Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's, my friend. The yellow wall gives me a big thumbs up. Luis is here and says that Håland, Reina, world class, and then Sancho and Brandt drop, and Royce, injury, recovery, to be honest, in 2020, plus the effect of the no wall in Signal Iduna. Yes, that 100% is a great one. I mean, Gio Reyna is going on kind of like Håland is. I think I've been very impressed with both of them, especially Håland just because of the numbers he put up. But I think Gio, at the age of 18, showing how versatile he's been now, going from the left from being a cam, I think it's very impressive. I'm very happy with what Reyna is doing. I think he's going to kick on in 2021. Royce has been interesting with the injury, obviously, but coming back, I've been pretty impressed about how he's playing of late. And then the no fans is a huge takeaway from everyone, from the football world in general, mainly because it's an effect. We have the best fans in the world, especially in that stadium, so not having them there is honestly something that is kind of crappy, but everyone's got to deal with that, and hopefully at some point in 2021, we can start introducing fans again. Thomas says, my one takeaway will be firing Favre, and number 2 is our champions, is the hope in Champions League. So, yes, that is a great takeaway. I think it had to be done. That was my opinion on Lucien Favre getting sacked. I think it was about time, just because this start of this season was nowhere near where it needed to be, and it's unfortunately for managers one of those decisions that have to be made. And I'm excited to see what Edin Terzic can do with the remainder of this season, because it will be really up to him if he wants to carry on. Depending what he can do with the rest of the season will determine whether he sticks around or if we will be targeting, in my opinion, Marco Rose. And then obviously our hope in the Champions League will be a interesting one to see what happens there. I mean, I'm assuming you were talking about our Champions League round of 16, which I think we have a potential to have a nice little deep dive into that competition, so we'll see what we can do there. Luis says, my one takeaway is the drop of our defense overall. And yes, our defense has been all over the place. We know at one point this season we kept 4 clean sheets in a row, and then completely turned around and just kind of fell apart defensively, and have been really struggling. And then Terzic obviously saying that we're going to be an attacking-minded team, and he isn't even going to touch that defense. So I think that's going to be very interesting when it comes to the second half of the season, and if that is our Achilles heel, because it obviously could potentially be if we're not really addressing our defense. And I know he said that, but I mean, he's obviously going to work with the defense and try to tweak it so it fits the way that we play. But in my mind, it is going to be our Achilles heel, and it's going to be a big factor to see what we do for the remainder of the season. One takeaway is that we actually genuinely dominated the goal chances in both of the seasons, the Klassikers and the Super Cup. Bundesliga, we actually gave Bayern a run for their money, and that is very, very true. And that was something I touched on. One of my takeaways is that we are competing with them, because we've known in the last few seasons we've actually lost 4, 5, 6 nothing to Bayern, which is just honestly embarrassing. Even in the title season, we almost won. We lost 5 nothing to them. So absolutely being able to take them on is a huge takeaway. But again, it's coming to a point with us Dortmund fans where taking them on isn't enough. It's going to be having to actually beat them down and be able to take points when it really matters to be able to kick on for a title push. Happy New Year's from the Philippines Dortmund guy. Happy New Year's, my friend. How are you? Happy New Year's. Yes, so whoever right now wants to let me know where it's 2021 for them, Happy New Year's to you guys. It's still 2020 right now. It's about 1 p.m. here in Canada, so I'm not quite at New Year's yet, but if wherever you're in the world, if it is 2021, Happy New Year's to you guys. And if you guys are still in 2020 for some of you guys, then obviously you'll be kicking on with me until the new year does arrive. Happy New Year 2021. I hope Dortmund will win a trophy. Yes, I do too. I think the DFB Pokal is a good option for us, and who knows what happens in the Champions League. 2020 was a horrible year for BBB. I agree. I agree. I mean, there was a lot of individual performances that were fun to watch. I mean, Sancho did have a decent part of 2020. Håland's been fantastic throughout 2020. Gio Reyna's kind of came up, but just for the team as a whole and being able to kind of achieve our goals, it's definitely been an interesting one. Happy New Year, everyone in the chat and JJD TV. Happy New Year, my friend. Who remembers when Håland was a super sub this year? Yes, he came on and banged home a hat-trick. I thought was going to replicate Paco for that season. I thought Paco mainly got his goals when it came from jumping off the bench, but Håland quickly took on that role and actually plays a lot, which actually ended up leading to his, obviously, injury, but I'm hoping that he's back. He's a bit of a freak of nature. We know that, so I'm hoping he'll be back stronger for the Wolfsburg game. All right, where were we? Agents is here. He said, I think that we need an inspirational manager to hype up and give us our form back. Yes, I think dressing the manager is going to be one of the biggest things that we need to do in 2021. I don't know, like I said, who it's going to be. I don't know who I even want to be manager. There's been a lot of names. I don't think anyone is exactly what we need here at Dortmund right now, but given the options, given the kind of manager that we usually go after, for me, seeing a manager like Marco Rose or Jesse Marsch are obviously the favorites. They seem like they fit the profile. And for me, I guess it's probably going to be Marco Rose. I think he seems like the most likely. I don't know, like I said, if he's exactly what we need, if he's going to do all that much more than Lucien Favre might have did, but we'll never know until we give it a shot. But there's still a chance that Edin Terzic can obviously roll on for the rest of the season and maybe convince the board that he's the man to lead the line for us. If BBB sells Sancho and Håland, they can pocket $250 million at minimum. So that is not true, maybe true. I'm trying to think. Sancho, it's unlimited what we could potentially make for him. I don't know what his price has dropped considering he lost a ton of form. But the fact that he's still English puts him, very expensive. If you got that English tax, so selling him back to a Premier League team would give us a decent chunk of change. Håland's got that release clause, which, again, I think I would love to figure out a way to get rid of it because right now he's leaving for probably half of what we could actually sell him for. But yes, they could pocket the $250 million. I don't know about Sancho yet. I want to see what he can do for the remainder of the season. But when it comes to Håland, we absolutely can't lose him. I want to see him dominate for Dortmund for many years to come. I'm hoping that we can figure out something along the lines of an extension, get rid of that release clause, and we are very happy. But we will not know until it kind of plays out. Tactical Manager is here, and he says, Happy New Year's, Josh. Happy New Year's, Tactical Manager. Tactical Manager is a buddy of mine. We've started our channels relatively around the same time and have both seen some awesome growth, and it's been a lot of fun working with Tactical Manager. I've been trying to get him on the channel for honestly a few weeks now, but haven't been able to figure out the time. We've been busy, but Filippo, we will get you on very, very soon, and we'll get that little video out there for our viewers. I don't think that Håland or Sancho, Bellingham will be loyal to BBB. I have hopes for Reyna. What are your thoughts? If I'm picking one player out of those players who I think is going to be the most loyal to Borussia Dortmund, 100% I do think it's Gio. I think Gio genuinely loves the club and wants to stay here for years. Signing that long-term deal is obviously showing that. But then second, I'm probably going to say Håland just because I think that he's got his career path, like I mentioned, kind of figured out. And I think that he's going to be very loyal to us for as long as he can be. Whereas Sancho and Bellingham, I think that because they're English, may want to go back to the Premier League at some point. But I think Jude's pretty young still. And I think that obviously he's getting good minutes here. He's obviously growing as a player. He knows that this is a great club to take him to that next level. And then I'd say probably Sancho's the least likely to stay with us for many, many reasons, but I could be totally wrong. He stayed in here with the summer. He genuinely had a good attitude. It hasn't been able to replicate his performance on the pitch. My takeaway for BVB in 2020 was losing Hakimi. That is an excellent one. It completely changed our play style. We completely disappeared as a counterattacking team. Those lightning kind of counterattacks that we were so accustomed to seeing with the link-up play with Sancho, Hakimi, the finishing of Håland, they disappeared. They did. It completely went away. We couldn't cope with the fact that we don't have that right-sided kind of dynamite players that we had that linked up. It just completely went away, and it kind of sucks. It does. So I think losing Hakimi was ridiculous, and that's another point when I went back to the transfers. When I looked at someone we needed, I thought, instead of signing Meunier, we signed arguably one of our best players and re-signing him, and honestly, I think there should have been a realistic chance of getting Hakimi to sign, but I don't know. I wasn't part of the board, obviously, so I don't have any idea what went on behind the scenes. But then I thought we should address a center back and a striker, but that money, instead of getting invested wherever it needed to go, went into Jude, who I just didn't think we needed. We have a lot of center mids, but I do like Jude. I think he will grow into a good player, and that will be a great piece of business. But for the most part, it just looks like poor business letting Hakimi go, because he's doing fantastic things in Inter, as you'd expect, because he completely fits Antonio Conte's system. One of my takeaways is that we should have done everything possible to keep Hakimi, because it was like he was our third or fourth most important player in the team, especially in attack. Yeah, Clint, 100%. Couldn't agree with you more. He was. It was so much fun to watch that formation. I didn't think it'd work, and it was honestly something completely unique, just because of how good Guerrero was, how good Hakimi was, and that those two wingbacks are different. One is very fast, lightning. They're both good finishers, but Guerrero has got a little bit more flair to his game. He's able to cut through the middle. He leads up and links up differently than Hakimi does. Hakimi's a little more one track, but it was so much fun to watch that Dortmund team at the tail end of last season. I really, really enjoyed it, and they could not replicate that form this year whatsoever, and Meunier has been a disaster. An absolute disaster, in my opinion. I think that he will get better playing as the right back, but I think that they kind of figured out that 4-3 or the 3-4-3 formation's gone. We can't replicate it. We can't do it with any type of momentum, so we just kind of had to cut it. Would you take Diego Costa for Håland as a backup striker? I would not. I followed Diego Costa for a long, long time because I support Chelsea and Atletico. Those are my Premier League teams. Those are my La Liga teams. So I'm very familiar with Diego Costa. I don't think he's a striker he once was. I think that he is a menace in the change room if you don't have an authoritative figure to kind of control him, which is why he acted out a lot in Chelsea. Having Diego Simeone as a manager was able to tame that beast, pretty much is a way to put it. I don't know if Edin Terzic wants that in the dressing room, and I think that Costa kind of left because he wasn't getting minutes. I don't think he would get a ton of minutes, and I don't think Dortmund has made it very clear that they don't want to put anyone in front of Moukoko, because Håland, Moukoko is supposed to be the order. And yeah, I wouldn't take him for the reasons on the personal side, but I don't think it really fits either. But I think Diego Costa, in my opinion, if I were him, would go to Wolverhampton. I think that he has a starting role there, and it would be very interesting to see what he does back in the Premier League. He also can't go to any other La Liga team, as far as I know, because it was in the contract that he signed that was basically wasn't allowed to sign for anyone who was competing with Atletico. So Happy New Year's from, but also to go on that Sancho or that Costa point is that not only in the La Liga he can't sign for teams for, but I believe teams competing in the Champions League he may not be eligible for either. So I don't even know if Dortmund could sign him if they didn't want to, but I don't think that they will. Anyways, moving on. Happy New Year's from the only BBB fan in Regina, Saskatchewan. Another fellow Canadian. Happy New Year's, my friend. I'm assuming maybe you're watching the World Juniors, as I also am right now because Bundesliga is on its break, so it's World Junior time. So for another fellow Canadian, it's exciting. And then for you Germans out there who are watching who don't know maybe much about hockey or are following, Germany, for the first time ever, made it to the knockout stages in the World Juniors, and is led by Tim Stützle, who is going to my favorite team, and that is the Ottawa Senators. So, just a little background about that. So very cool to see. What's up with the Hood? I see all pushing hard in training sessions, but little real minutes. Sorry, I misread that, read the wrong comment. But yes, you're asking what is up with the Hood. I genuinely don't know. I get made fun of a lot here on the channel because I have been pushing for the Hood as much as I possibly can. I don't know if it's something going on behind the scenes, but from the performances I've seen this year, he should be starting. 100%. I think he brought something so different to this team. I thought that he bumped up his game. But considering that he had these good performances, he started 4 games, played 5 games, and now can't even seem to travel with the team, I don't know what's going on. From reading between the lines, it's telling me that his future is maybe in doubt and maybe gets moved on in the summer transfer window. Or maybe it's something behind the scenes, and I'm not really quite sure. But I can genuinely not determine why he's not starting. If you guys watch my previews, I constantly pluck Dahoud in the starting 11. I just stopped doing that because I know that he's not going to start. So I don't know what his future is leading to, and it's a shame because I writ him off before the season started. He completely proved me wrong, and it's a shame to see that he's not going to be able to start these kind of games. What do you think about Thomas Tuchel? I think Thomas Tuchel did do a good job for us at Borussia Dortmund. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought that he had us playing in an amazing formation, which was a kind of unique one in a 4-1-4-1. And it's unfortunate to see what happens when he clashes with the boards. He's done it now at 2 different clubs. I wouldn't take him back, not a chance. But I do rate Tuchel, and I think that he is an outside shot, potentially taken over from Jurgen Klopp. I don't 100% know, but maybe even the Chelsea job. But I don't think he's coming back to Dortmund. Happy New Year's, everyone. I'm back on Josh's live stream for now on. Sorry for inactive, bro. Also, what do you think about Dortmund? And we'll pick up January transfer window. Welcome back, Payne, my friend. Happy New Year's, and welcome back to the live streams. We missed you, and I don't think that we're going to be signing anyone in the January transfer window. From everything I read, it shows that we have 0 money. And like I even said, even if, for example, Dahoud or Brandt, we get an amazing offer, we decide to let them go, we make some money, I don't think we're going to reinvest that money until the summer, mainly because I don't know what Edin Terzic's future holds. I don't think they're going to recoup that money and then spend it right away because it might bring in a player at 40 million that doesn't suit the new manager, and that puts you in a situation like Christian Eriksen, for example, and it's a poor situation to be in. So I really doubt we're going to sign anyone in January, and I really doubt we're going to sell anyone in January, either for the reasons I just said. But if there is one person at the top of the January chopping block, it would be Brandt, in my opinion, just because I think he's shooting for that Euro spot, and I don't see him breaking into this starting 11 anytime soon. Do you think that Thomas Tuchel is going to be a coach for BBB again? Absolutely not, for several reasons. But, I mean, I think if he did take over Dortmund, I think he would do genuinely well, but I don't think that's going to happen. Do you rather see Leipzig win the league otherwise from Bayern? I personally would rather see Leipzig win than Bayern. I'd rather see almost any club win from Bayern just because they've won so many years in a row now, and it's better for the league in general. You can get mad at me all you want about the Leipzig stigma around them, but for me, more competition in the Bundesliga is great, and I would want to see, honestly, any team. I'd rather see Leverkusen win than Leipzig, but I want someone else to win but Bayern. Happy New Year's from Dubai. Happy New Year's, my friend. Dubai is a beautiful place, and I would love to go there one day. So, just very jealous, very jealous. I would love to see Erik ten Hag as Dortmund coach. That is someone that we have not really addressed here on the channel. And I keep telling you guys I'm going to address it, and then I never do. But that is a great option. Erik ten Hag has a lot of reasons to be linked to the job. But I think that, honestly, he's potentially holding out for the Bayern job, potentially. I say the same thing about Nagelsmann. It's just they're both have those links to Bayern, and it just makes a little bit more sense. I realistically can tell you guys, I really do believe that it's going to be Marco Rose or Jesse Marsch. And right now, just from everything I'm reading, it seems like it's set in the stones that it's going to be Marco Rose. I don't think there's anything anyone can do really about it, but that's just my opinion. I could be completely wrong. All right, Josh, where did you go? All right, Josh Zork says that there isn't any release clause in Håland contract. I did read different sources. I don't know what the truth is. I honestly don't. I personally believe there's some type of release clause. The main reason I believe that is because they got Håland for dirt cheap, and I believe that they were able to negotiate that deal, giving Håland an out when he kind of wanted it. I don't know the details, and I'm not saying it's 100% true. I just think that they did such a good job with Holland's career path. They want to be able to decide when they go. They don't want a situation like Aubameyang and Dembele. And having a $75 million release clause was a good piece of business for Dortmund because they picked him up for 20, sell him for 75, and he did very many good things here in Dortmund. The bad thing is that he's probably worth double that, at least. So it's one of those situations where I honestly don't know. I don't know what's in his contract, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's kind of an out for him if he wants it. I desperately hope not, and I hope he's here for many years to come. That's why I hate English players playing in the Bundesliga. That you know that they're going to get sold back to the Premier League at some point. Yeah, I totally agree. But Josh, are we still playing attacking football? It's just our poor finishing. That is true. I mean, it's hard to justify and give Ed Terzic a fair shake so far because he's played, I think, 3 games now, and I haven't been overly impressed, but there was a lot of poor finishing in that. He doesn't have Håland, which honestly sucks. So they are playing attacking. And the first game was a game, in my opinion, that looked drastically different from the way Favre played. I thought they pretty much went all out attack, no defense, and it was different. And I thought it was impressive that it was different for the start of this reign of his, just because being able to go in right after taking on from another manager and being able to get them to kind of show that they can play a little bit differently is very interesting. But I still think there's a lot to work out in that dressing room, and I really think our defense is going to be our Achilles heel, mainly because if we go all out attack and we don't address that defense, it's going to bite us in the butt. But again, I still think it's too early to justify and give an actual opinion on Ed Terzic right now, but I think that Wolfsburg game will be a good starting point considering he's had some time to work with the team. Cheers, mate. How far can we go in the Champions League? I think it's unknown, in my opinion. I think that there's a huge potential that we can go very far. I think that competition is completely up in the air, and I'm very curious to see what happens, especially knowing that we got hopefully our big guns back. They can stay healthy. So, I mean, I think we're favorites to move on to the quarters, and then, honestly, you're 2 wins away from the final, 3 wins away from winning it. It all depends. I mean, I know that there's still the legs, but I mean, I'm just saying that in the way where if you win a game and then you can kill it out defensively, you can even win a game and lose a game. It's all up in the air, and I think it's going to be very, very fun to watch the remainder of the Champions League, and I do have high hopes for Dortmund. But if you're going to twist my arm, I think we should, at the very minimum, reach the quarters. But I mean, after that, I mean, it's completely up in the air, and I think we have a chance. Someone should give Union Berlin a lot of credit this 2020, though. Very true. Union Berlin, last season, when I predicted how they'd finish, I put them dead last, so they completely slapped me in the face. This year, my predictions, I put them 15th, and they're 6th. So, yes, they absolutely deserve a lot of credit. They play a unique kind of football. They've had even like the likes of Max Kruse coming back and playing very well as a center attacking mid. They are honestly a fantastic little club to watch, and I really enjoy seeing what they've done, and I'm very happy for them. Every game Rafa Guerreiro plays in 2020, he's excellent. I agree. What is the recent news on Man City Wonder Kid, Josh? Do you think BBB are really interested in him? So yes, I mean, Guerreiro is the most underrated player potentially in the world. I think he plays that left wing back position, even as a left back position, like no one else in the world. So yeah, huge kudos to him. I very much enjoy watching him play. And then going on to your other question with Jadon, I mean, I think that they're going to probably sign him. I see a lot of similarities to the Sancho deal, where City doesn't give Sancho minutes. They both happen to be named Jadon. I mean, not that matters, but I think the fact that Sancho didn't get his looks in City, he wanted to push for a league that would give him a chance, at a club that would give him a chance. I think, honestly, the same situation is going to happen. I think that Dortmund more than likely will sign him in the summer, and the only difference is that there's going to be probably a buyback clause, which then no offense to him, but I hope that deal doesn't go through, because I don't want to see us invest, 9-10 million, not a big deal, sell him back to City in 2-3 years' time for 30 mil. We make 20 mil on the deal, which you can see is a win, but now whatever we turn him into and we sell him back to City, there's again a gaping hole after putting all that time and effort in him. So any deal with the buyback clause, I think, should be off the table, but more than likely we will buy him, and then more than likely in 2 years' time we will sell him back to City. We had Delaney, Dahoud, Witzel, Emery Chan, Brandt could play there, and then we bought Bellingham instead of keeping Hakimi, or buy a new world-class center back for a second striker. It's just a joke from our board, and that's one of the things I talked about earlier in the stream, and 100% agree. I thought it was ridiculous the way that we spent that money, not signing Hakimi, not addressing areas that we need, and then buying a kid in a position that we are stacked with. And again, nothing against Jude. It will turn out to be a good piece of business, but it's the reason that this team's got holes in it, and it's because the board doesn't address it. And it's why I don't want to see going after Jadon Braff, because if we sign him, like I said, there's going to be, City aren't going to do what they did with Jadon Sancho. They're going to put a release clause or a buyback clause in this kid's contract, which then just completely takes it away from our hands, and it just sucked putting that kind of time and effort in a player and then losing him. So I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of it. And yeah, the transfers was a big issue for me with the board this year. Guerrero was the best for 2020 for BVB. Also, Guerrero is the best left back in the world. I don't agree that he's the best for BVB. I think Håland's got him beat just off of pure numbers. But for consistent performances, I mean, yes, he's easily probably second. You could give him a fight that he was our best player for BVB because Guerrero just plays the game like no one else on that side, which is why I do believe he's genuinely one of the best left backs, if not the best left back in the world. Where do you think Thomas Tuchel will end up? I think potentially he's got a shot at the German national job. I think Jurgen Love's going to lose it after the Euros in the summer, and Tuchel would just naturally be a fit. I think potentially an outside shot, he might go to Chelsea. A troubled manager for a club who loves sacking managers. Why not? Match made in heaven. Håland was the best player for BVB in 2020, in my opinion. I second that. Also, make a Discord for the channel in 2021. We do have a Discord, my friends. I'm not sure if Producer T wants to toss it in the chat. He can. So if you haven't joined our Discord, you can. Luca is leading the leaderboards in that, but we're decently active on it. But I think it'll just keep hopefully getting bigger in 2021 as we keep growing. But yeah, definitely join our Discord. Producer T will put it in the comments. Chilwell versus Guerrero. Guerrero not even close. Is Akanji really bad? He gets a lot of stick from the fans, but I have seen good reviews on him. Most media, he is reportedly wanted by Liverpool. Let's not push away, guys. I don't mind Akanji at all. I don't believe letting him go mid-season like this is going to happen whatsoever. I just, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why he gets as much stick as he does. I think he's a solid center back. I think he's got speed. I think he complements Hummels relatively well. So I think losing him mid-season like this would be a disaster, which I don't think is going to happen. But if he decides to move on in the summer, we replace him with someone with a little more quality, I wouldn't be against that either. Wishing you the best for your channel and yourself in 2021. Dortmund guy, keep up the good work, and big up to Producer T as well. Thank you so much, my friend. We really enjoy the kind words, and we wish you guys the best as well, and hope you guys are continually enjoying it. We will be back, obviously, for our watch-along on Sunday, which we're very, very excited about. And, so, I mean, I hope you guys are able to join that game, and, I mean, we're all ready for a little transfer talk when it comes to January, as well as obviously getting the Bundesliga back up. I really like the last UEFA Champions League format. It gives us fans much more enjoyable games. I do as well. I mean, it would be so much fun to see just World Cup style, but I don't think that will probably come back. Who's better in your opinion, potentially, Akanji or Zagadou? I would honestly probably start lining up Hummels with Zagadou. I've been very impressed with him coming off the bench, putting up the kind of performances that he has. Big man, left-footed. So, I mean, right now, I would start trying to introduce Zagadou a little bit more with Hummels, and then even rotate them out, because we don't have very many center backs. So we should utilize playing Zagadou more than we do, instead of just burning out Hummels and Akanji. Jude transfer deal was okay, Josh. Yeah, no, I think it's a good piece of business. We signed Jude for a good price. We're going to make a lot of money on him. It's just, again, that's what Dortmund just can't seem to give up. They see young players, great deal, bring him in, even though it's not what we need at the time. And then it's like, oh, well, we're going to make 30, 40 mil on him at some point, which is fair. It's the way we do business, but they don't address exactly what we need, which is why we constantly see the way the right-hand side, our center back issue, our backup striker, that they always come back and bite us in the butts for unnecessary spending. I'm here to defend Jude against my attacks. Subs, what's going on, my friend? I'm not coming at Jude whatsoever. I think Jude is a great piece of business, in my opinion, and I think that we're going to make money on him, which is the way Dortmund like to do business. Also, he's a baller. We know that. He's 17, and he's already showing what he can do in the Bundesliga. I was just saying that when we're looking at what we needed in the summertime, we were already stacked in the midfield. We did not need Jude, in my opinion. We're signing Hakimi, potentially a backup striker, or a generally good center back would have been what I did. I'm not on the board. I don't get to make those calls, but I'm just saying I would have rather invested the money elsewhere. But I really do enjoy Jude, and we're going to make money on him. So that's the way that Dortmund like to do business, and that's just kind of what happens. But yeah, Subs is from Birmingham, so you cannot go at Jude. He will not like it, and I'm not going at Jude at all. I do really, really like the kid. I think he's going to keep growing as a player and become even more of a baller when he gets a little bit older. But I was just stating the fact that's what Dortmund like to do, is they put money in young kids in positions that we potentially don't need. But another good example is Renier. If you wanted to sign someone, why not sign a center back? Why not sign a backup striker? Why not even whatever money you spent, maybe invest it some way in a right back? But to be fair to Dortmund, they did go for a right back. It was a right back that did not even come close to matching what Hakimi did. But, it is. And Subs does make an okay point. Even if we didn't sign Jude, we'd be 20 million short on Hakimi. And that is true. And I don't know. I don't see the books. I don't know how much money we could have spent on Hakimi or anywhere else. But either way, 25 mil on Jude. It could have been put 25 mil on a center back. It could have been put 25 mil on a striker, preferably a center back. But I'm not against the fact that we signed Jude. So Subs, don't think that I am. I really enjoy the kid, and he's going to be a great player for us, as well as we're going to be more than likely sell him on for a huge transfer profit. We know that. And Subs, you became a Dortmund fan because of it. So you know what? It all works out. I believe you did. I can't remember. I think you told me that you became one because, or you were already one because you were born in Germany. I can't remember. You can let me know, though. We don't attack Jude. I like him too. The transfer just was not necessary. And that's fair. Problem with playing Hummels with Zagadou is that they are both best at left center back. And that is true. That is very unique for Hummels being right-footed, playing on the left-hand side. He does feel more comfortable there. But with only having 3, you're going to have to start rotating. So, I mean, naturally, you're not going to put Zagadou on the left or on the right. So when you play, it's going to be Zagadou, it's going to be Hummels, it's going to be Zagadou, it's going to be Akanji, or it's going to be Hummels, and it's going to be Akanji. That's the way it's got to go, and I think he deserves a little bit more playing time. It was a Thomas Meunier deal that was crap. Yes, it was. Who should have kept Hakimi and go and buy Jude, and we also needed to get a center back and a backup striker. Yes, 100%, and it sucked. It honestly did. The Meunier deal, it's unfortunate to know, because, I mean, you think free transfers can be good pieces of business, but if you've seen sometimes what Juve like to do over the years when they go after these free players, crazy wages, and then if they don't work out, you're stuck with them, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. So, I mean, it's not really fair to put it on Dortmund, but that was a realistic assumption that could have happened. A different type of right back, not fitting the team, high wages, long-term contract. Now we're in a bit of trouble. If we didn't sign Jude, we'd be 20 million short. Yes, and that could be very well true. I don't know how the books. I'm just saying that money could have been reinvested in a position we actually needed. But Dortmund do business very, very strategically. So you guys know that we're going to make money on the Håland deal, the Sancho deal, the Bellingham deal. So financially speaking, we should be in good shape. But it is what it is. Signal Iduna's contract with us expires next year, so hopefully we will have some more money in the summer from a new deal. That is a great point as well, and that is true, and I think we will have some money to spend in the summer, no doubt about it, because I think some of our pieces are going to go out the door for a little bit of money. Meunier only signed because it was a free agent. We could have actually paid any transfer fee. Yes, and that is true, but I mean, Meunier's on high deals, and he is on high wages and is not performing the way that he should. And yes, Subs was born in Dortmund, a couple miles from Signal Iduna. Kyle says, really wish Dortmund would buy someone with experienced defenders rather than just bulking up on young attacking players. And I don't mean picking on free agent Meunier just because it's a bargain. And that is very true. And that's why Dortmund sometimes find themselves in trouble going out buying young talent. And I take that Ranier deal as a perfect example. A player we did not need. A player who's wasting away on the bench. Find a loan deal somehow to get in a Malang Sarr. That was the number one target, in my opinion, going in. But it's just, yeah, it's the way that Dortmund just seem to do business, and they do it very uniquely. They like to focus on young attacking talent, and it just sometimes leads to the kind of performances that we see on the pitch. There's nothing that we can really do about it, but it is something to definitely question and see if they potentially change in the future. Sancho going to leave? I mean, potentially. I think he's not going to leave in January, but I mean, at the summertime, I think some of the big boys, whether it's Chelsea, Liverpool, United, are going to probably come back for Sancho, 100%. So I don't know what's going to happen to his future, but you never know. Your favorite team from other leagues. So I follow a lot of different leagues around the world. I'll do the main ones for you guys. I mean, obviously the Bundesliga is Dortmund. In the Premier League, it's Chelsea. La Liga, it's Atletico Madrid. In Serie A, it's Napoli. In Ligue 1, it's Lyon. And then, of course, in Canada, North America, the MLS, whatever you want to say, it is Toronto FC. So if you guys want to let me know what your other teams are from around the world, you absolutely can. But, I mean, since I started the channel here with Producer T, it's been pretty much just Dortmund. I mean, I try to watch Atletico as much as I can because I enjoy Simeone. He's my favorite manager alongside with Klopp. And they're obviously top of the league, so it is fun. But for the most part, I've just been focused on the Bundesliga. Yeah, Meunier was free, but he was not a bargain. I wouldn't even have paid for him in my team. Yeah, I totally agree. And that's what people forget about free agents. They see we paid nothing for him, but we're getting slapped in the ass for it when it comes to his wages. The fact that he does not put the performances on the pitch, and he's tied down for a long-term contract, it's going to put us in a very awkward situation, which is why everyone says, what right back would you sign? Zero. We can't do it. We will not be able to replace Meunier. We will not be able to shift him out. Unfortunately for us, it's going to be Meunier, and Murray might turn into a great right back, and then past that going forward, it has to be, and we're going to have to address, in different ways, but it is what it is. Meant I wouldn't have even if you paid me for it. That's very true, very true. You disappoint me, mate. He likes Arsenal from England. No offense, but English players don't stay in the Bundesliga long term. They are a great player, but they will need to be a bit more loyal for signing them. No, and that's accurate. And yeah, I was a Chelsea supporter because it was the first club that my coach years ago when I was 8 gave me a Chelsea jersey, gave me a Lampard jersey. So that's how I started supporting Chelsea at the 10-year age of 8. So I mean, I haven't wavered. I'm a pretty loyal fan when it comes to stuff like that. I've been a Senators fan for any of you hockey fans out there, so you know the kind of commitment you got to give to the club. But yes, no, you're very true. I mean, Sancho and Bellingham are not going to stay at Dortmund long term. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. So it's just very hard to try to determine what's going to happen, how long they are going to stay, what they're going to do when they produce. When you put up 17 goals, 16 assists, you want that player to stay. Now you see that Sancho completely disappeared. Now the realistic option of getting 100+ million for him actually makes sense. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens to him in the summertime. But yes, it's not going to be a long term. I don't know how long Jude's going to stay here. He's 17. He's very young. It could be 3-4 years, but then he will probably get shifted on to a Premier League club where he will stay long term. I would swap Sancho for Werner or Havertz plus money from Chelsea. I mean, Werner's not a very well-liked guy around here, but I mean, I've always liked watching the way he plays. I think Havertz is very, very good as well, and I mean, I don't know about that deal. I wouldn't be completely against it just because I think Havertz is the baller and he's not fitting in naturally at Chelsea, but I think Havertz, again, plays the best through the middle. We don't need another center attacking mid. We already have Royce and Reina, but it's something to ponder. I mean, I don't know. We have Murray. Paslak is not the one. Owen stayed in the Bundesliga for years, though. He was an anomaly. I mean, he's not usually one to say. I can't remember how long he was at Bayern for before he went back to the Prem, but he did have a good stint in Germany. I feel the same about Werner as I do Meunier. Wouldn't have him if he paid me. Yeah, I know that he's not a very well-liked player, and especially after what he did speaking out about the Bundesliga. So, I mean, I know the Dortmund supporters around here would not want Werner to come back, and that makes a lot of sense. But it'll be interesting to see where we target, because every time I try to preach for a transfer target of where I think Dortmund need the help, we go elsewhere. And we invest money in positions that we do not need, which is just very frustrating, but it is what it is. I don't know, mate. It's Lampard's fault. Werner is a quality player. I don't know if it's quite Lampard's fault. I thought that Werner should play through the middle as a number 9. He didn't work out very well there. I mean, he had a good start. He has 4 goals, 4 assists, but then he got shifted out to the left where he's just not clicking. That team's got a lot of different problems, and it's going to be interesting to see whether Lampard has the knowledge and the know-how to be able to win his way out of it, but it will be different. Sub says he's a systems player. He likes the right systems to flourish, and he talks like a moron. He does. I don't like the way that Werner speaks out. I really liked Werner as a player until, honestly, he started addressing the media a little bit more and came down in the Bundesliga, and then now looks like an idiot out in the Prem. So I honestly wouldn't take him at Dortmund, but I do think he plays very good as a number 9, but a number 9 who needs build-up play. I mean, the way that he played a lot of the times with Leipzig was in that 4-2-3-1, that 4-2-2-2. He's able to play sometimes as a second striker, and honestly, I don't mind him when Leipzig played that 3-4-2-1 when he played as kind of attacking mid, gave him a lot of freedom. He's not a number 9 or a winger. He's something in between. Well said. Top 5 league winners predictions. Bundesliga, unfortunately, Bayern, if you're going to press me on it. Premier League, Liverpool. La Liga, Atletico. I think Atletico's got enough weapons behind them this season. I've really enjoyed watching them play over the seasons. and seeing them stick with Diego Simeone and just have Carrasco going and turning into an actual baller instead of being kind of a spoiled brat. I'd very much like to see Atletico see it out. I am an Atletico fan, so it would be pretty cool to see. In Serie A, that's probably the most interesting one. I want to say AC, but I believe Inter probably this season has just a little bit more quality and a little bit more composure than Milan does. But I hope AC win it. And then, of course, in Liga, I desperately hope Lyon would win it. I think it'd be great to see them take down PSG, but I think PSG will find a way to win it in the end. You'd have to change the whole system to fit him in. It's not worth it for a guy who can't control the ball or pass properly. Yep, and that's totally fair, and it is the way that is the way that it is. But I think that we are going to wrap it up here, everyone. So for everyone out there who is going up to New Year's, I really hope you enjoy your New Year's. I hope that we have a better 2021 for several different reasons, and I hope we kickstart it with a win in Wolfsburg. So you guys, I hope you definitely enjoy us, and come and stick around for the stream. But I do see another question about Atletico, and I kind of want to address it. Just enjoying Atletico's football, it's strange, mate. It is, but the main reason I do it is because I've watched a lot of Atletico over the years. And watching them versus Dortmund last year is a perfect example because Atletico was a mess. It was a transition year for them. Ugly, ugly football in that 4-4-2. They tried to go attacking. They reverted back to the defensive ways. If you watch Atletico play this year, it is different. João Felix has a lot more of the ball. They actually switched from kind of a 4-4-2 going in defense to a 3-4-1-2, which is a lot more fun to watch. They have a very flexible left back in Hermoso who kind of goes in as the left center back, gives them options. Carrasco's having fun out on the left. Trippier was having fun out on the right. João Felix has a lot of space where there's Correa with him. And then Luis Suarez is honestly a finisher. It's exactly what they need. They're built very well. And to stick with the manager for 9 years like Simeone, winning a lot with Atletico, and constantly see him actually being able to adapt and play the way that the new game's kind of played is incredible to see. So I've been enjoying watching them play this season, even though their football isn't like what it was. Last season, watching Dortmund versus Atletico game was night and day, and it's all counterattacking, and it's fun, and it's fast, and it's enjoyable, where Simeone defended and had 30% of the ball against Getafe. So yeah, a very interesting point, but I mean, if you guys do enjoy La Liga, I mean, I definitely will enjoy talking to you guys about that as well. I do enjoy watching La Liga, so until next time, guys, I will see you guys on Sunday for our watch-along. Drop a like on the chat if you haven't already before you dip out here, and I hope you guys enjoy your New Year. So if you're new around here, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.